we are good. Welcome again to Healing Prophets Live. My name is Becca Starr, and today we're going to talk about spirituality and if it even matters. It sounds like something we hear about a lot, trending topic, been around for centuries, but how important is it and how is it affecting your life with or without it? So first I wanted to just say hello, welcome you to the show. If you are watching live or you're watching the replay, please say hello in the comments. Please just jump in to say hi. And I will try to go back and forth. I'm on YouTube and Facebook, so I can't totally see who is watching live, but I really want to give you a warm welcome. And I'm going to start with a question of what it feels like when I don't have spiritual well-being happening in my life, or more of a statement. Do you resonate with this? Oh my God, what is happening? Could anything else go wrong? And then it does. So that is a common feeling of chaos and confusion and disconnection. And if you are like me and you experience moments like that, then you're not alone. And the beauty of knowing that you're not alone is that this is a great starting point. You're here, and we are going to talk about why this feeling of kind of that the world being against us, everything going wrong, the rug getting pulled out beneath us. So you aren't the only one. And I really want to let you know that that's a common feeling sometimes. The reason that you want things to go right more often is because at the core of all of us, we have a desire to know that there's a purpose to life, that we're making a contribution that actually matters, that we want to be who we truly are. And when there's more coincidences and we are more aligned, then those are signs and validation that we are one with the universe, that we are living with purpose or clarity, like things are lined up for us. Those are signs and validations. And the reason sometimes it can feel so sort of overwhelming or frustrating is because we all have that desire, that hunger at the core of us to feel aligned with the universe and with your life's purpose, and to feel connected to other people, to have the ability to tap into calmness under any circumstance. Now, if that sounds good to you, if this resonates, then this is the episode for you. When we're spiritually healthy, we do feel more connected to ourselves, to others, to a higher power. We have more clarity when it comes to making decisions. And our actions become more consistent with our beliefs and our values. We have more integrity. We feel connected to something bigger than ourselves. Now, what happens if you're not feeling that? Does it mean that you're not spiritually fit because you can't find meaning in your problems? Does it mean that bad things are just going to keep happening? Or does spiritual well-being even matter? Now, I believe that it does. I want you to ask yourself that same question. I believe if you're here, you're at least curious about it, and that's cool. Like, that's really awesome. I'm going to just check to see who is watching. If there's any chats, I believe I will be able to multitask and see them all. But I just am going to try to stay focused. So at the end, if you can always direct message me, if there's comments, I'll try to get to them. So I believe that holistic wellness is three-dimensional. It's body, mind, and spirit. And we have our emotional health, our other layers, to be more specific, of hormonal well-being and energetic flows, chakras, meridians. We could get really specific, but when we focus simply on your spiritual, your mental, and your physical well being, body, mind, spirit, you keep it really simple with that trio, that's great. You're doing great with those three. We need all three of those to be operating at a high level, to be optimal and at your full potential, because if one is imbalanced or lacking, it affects our entire well being. So if one of them is strong, then the others aren't, there's an imbalance. The other two are lacking if just one of them. Now I say that, but what I believe even more, the goal is to have optimal health in all three areas. But what I believe more than that is that if you have spiritual wholeness and well-being, then the rest of your wholeness and wellness is actually lifted up. So, spirituality to me is the true cornerstone to all health and all healing. And for some reason, it doesn't go the other way. So, you could be physically strong, but not be open spiritually or have anything going on spiritually. You could be emotionally fit, but still lacking spirituality. And lacking that spirituality will cause problems. So I do believe spirituality and spiritual well being do matter. And some of the reasons that I could give for this is because it does improve your emotional state. It actually reduces the risk of disease. It strengthens your immune system. It improves your self confidence. And sometimes it also strengthens your support system. So, congratulations, because you're here and you're wanting to learn more about this topic. I welcome you, but I want to first just congratulate you because this is a topic that I'm going to let you know how it does matter to me in my life and how I see it show up in other people's lives. And I find that it matters so much that it's worth a whole Tuesday show. So I am here every single Tuesday, and this is what we're talking about today. Now, you wanting to learn more about it and watching this is an action that you're taking. Now, many people say that they want spirituality or they say that they are spiritual, but the problem is that they aren't really walking the path. And when you're not taking actions as simple as watching a video on this topic, when you're not taking actions and you don't have habits consistently, you're probably more in ego and in judgment. And I say that because I have that my personal experience. If I believe I could, easily say, of course I'm spiritual. I talk to God all the time. And like I could give you all of these reasons why I think that I am spiritual. And I may be if you compare, cases of different human beings. But I know when I am practicing consistent habits of what create spiritual well being. And when I don't stay consistent, when I fall out of the habit, then I become very easily more in my ego and in judgment. And it's very easy to do without realizing that we're doing it. And so the key deal breaker there is to practice these consistent habits. And so when you're not with spiritual health, when you don't kind of have that operating optimally, then you're going to experience more chaos and confusion and feeling alone and being more at risk of disease. You're not going to make sound decisions in your business or in your personal life. And those poor decisions could be detrimental. If you're feeling disconnected from others, especially now, or you're more critical of yourself or others, or you're searching for things to make you feel better. So if you're feeling a void or you're feeling emptiness, you're having trouble making decisions. Maybe you want to start your own business, but you haven't actually done anything about it yet. You think of all the reasons to not follow your heart and you stay stuck. Maybe you feel like life is a race that you're losing. These are all signs that point to needing more spiritual well being. And you're in luck because I'm going to make it really simple today. And as always, I'm going to give you proven strategies and actionable wisdom that you can start using right away. So if this sounds good, please make sure that you're following our page and you're getting notified when I upload new videos. And every Tuesday, I am going live to share ways for you to be more of a spiritual boss, a badass spiritual entrepreneur, a woman in this world, a heart centered entrepreneur. I speak to healers, and I am here every Tuesday to give you ways that you can actually improve your life and your business right away. It's not complicated, and I'm really excited about this topic because knowing for me that spiritual well being has been the cornerstone to all of my health and healing, I am really excited to share that with you. And I am ready to dive in. So, I usually find that spirituality is connected to big questions about life and who you are, your identity. Do things happen for a reason? How can I live my best life? Am I a good person? What's the meaning of my problems? How do I fit into this world? People search for meaning and purpose and for connection to others and to their source, to themselves, that feeling, that sense of connection, and to nature, because spirituality is more than just meaningful experiences. So we search for meaning and we search for purpose. Spirituality is actually the connection to the divine. So your connection to the divine is more than just a meaningful experience. And so when you experience that, when and if you have experienced that, you hunger maybe for more of that. Or if you haven't experienced that, you're curious and you would like to experience more of that, and it's never too late. And so I believe that the spiritual dimension is always going to be there for you at any point in your life. And I'm going to show you how you can access that today, but it is always accessible to everyone at any time. Unfortunately, I've found that it tends to come more into focus for people when they are facing major emotional stress or a physical illness, or way too often we hear when somebody is facing death. And then it gets spiritual and the divine and all of our well being around that seems to get very clearly into focus for us when we are under some major extreme. And it doesn't have to be like that. You can actually reap the rewards of the spiritual wholeness and the well being that you will experience if you're just willing to do a couple simple things. I promise it's not a lot. I am the most imperfect spiritual person that I know, and the benefits are amazing. The rewards of making a commitment to this as a part of your life are immeasurable. I will try to define them in words, but they are truly not even of this world. So before I get into these 3 C's that I'm going to share with you to make it very simple for you, and before we talk anymore, I really want to take a moment to establish the difference between religion and spirituality. So, religion to me is asking the question, is this true or is this false? Is this right or is this wrong? Spirituality instead evokes curiosity. Does this connect me to my source or my innate value or not? So it's really asking a completely different question, and you get to choose what your source is. Religion defines that for you. Spirituality asks that open-ended question that you get to answer. So some of the spiritual concepts, the characteristics, I should say, of spirituality would include meaning, value, transcendence, compassion, your connection and your growth, your progress that you make in life, all of those things I believe are characteristics of spirituality. So, meaning in life, your value, other people, other human beings' value, your connection to yourself, your source, to people in this world, and growth, evolution, the progress that you make. All of those things to me, that's what makes it so worth it and why it's become such it does matter, and it's become such an important part of how you kind of structure your day. Because without any spirituality, without any of the practices I'm going to share with you today, then there's going to be some detrimental side effects. You may already be experiencing them. So you're going to experience all of the things, the characteristics of spirituality when you strengthen your spirit. You'll go from chaos to confusion to feeling anger, to being triggered and getting angry, to more quickly feeling compassion. You'll go from isolation to connection, from insecurity to purpose. You're going to experience the healing power of love, and from love of others, from yourself, from your source. Transcendence means that you're going to have moments that are beyond your five senses, and you will see the meaning in loss and in your problems. You'll have more integrity and more creativity, improved self-esteem. You'll feel more hopeful and trust life. And you may even develop a love of life. So if this sounds good to you and you want to experience those things naturally, and you're ready to take just 15 minutes a day to devote time to a spiritual practice, then I want to give you some really practical, simple ways that you can start doing that right now. So, to make it really easy to accomplish, I have put the three of the most important principles that I believe would help you into the three C's of spiritual well being. The first C is contemplation. Contemplation, I said that right. Contemplative activities are activities that quiet your mind. So, contemplative activities, and that could be meditation, journaling, eating mindfully, walking in nature, repeating mantras, or simply directing your attention to a specific sensation or a concept or a word. It connects you to your source more when you quiet your mind and you go within. Now, meditation can be very simple. It literally could be setting your timer for 5 to 20 minutes. You can just follow your breath. And you could do this quite honestly for 5 minutes, and that's perfect, especially if you're just starting a meditation practice. You don't need to go all into the deep end. You can just set your timer for 5 minutes, turn off distractions, and watch your breath. Just pay attention to your breath. But whatever amount of time feels right to you, it's going to be better than maybe what you're doing now. And it's going to connect you more to inner guidance and your source. It will help you, even if your mind's going crazy, the more you practice and you do this on a regular, consistent basis, you develop the habit, then it will get easier and your mind will quiet down and it will improve your physical and your emotional health. It's just those are the benefits. They've been proven by science, by medical establishments. There's been tons of studies. And you could listen to a guided meditation. And I would actually like to give away one of my guided meditations. So today I'm going to find the audio of, we will do I will pick the right guided meditation that I want to give away today that is usually a part of one of my programs. And if you, for free, you can just download it, and I'll put it in the show notes when I'm done with today's episode. Now, when you do something, anything for 5 minutes to 20 minutes every day, you're establishing a connection. You're making this more of a discipline and a habit. And like I said, my experience is it doesn't have to be a ton of time or a ton of effort. 5 minutes could be the building blocks to an amazingly strong spiritual connection with your divine. Prayer is simply talking to your invisible team, asking for help, saying thank you, praying for somebody else. Whatever you need and however you feel the need to communicate in prayer, there's absolutely no wrong way to pray. You can honestly, I believe, have any conversation that you want with your higher power. And years ago, before we moved to Los Angeles, we lived in Connecticut and I didn't have kids in the car. I was younger. I had my own car, single, all of the, the open roads in Connecticut. And I would drive in my car and talk to God as if he was my best friend in the car with me. And then we moved out to Los Angeles and it was so different driving in a city. And I didn't have that luxury. I couldn't not pay attention as much to what I was doing behind the wheel. So I got out of that habit. And what I didn't realize was how much that one simple practice was keeping me connected. So I had to find other ways, but to this day, that's still my favorite way to connect with God. When I say, honey, I'm going to Target, what I really mean is, honey, I'm going to talk to God in the car for 10-minute drive, and it works. That's what works for me. And also knowing that I can bring to God anything. And prayer literally does give me a sense of relaxation and comfort. So, one final note on prayer before I move on is saying in prayer thoughts that you're, making a decision about something or you want to feel connected about something or you're asking for help or guidance or praying for somebody else. Always believe that your prayers are heard. So praying almost in vain, not believing that you are being heard, sort of takes the value out of the prayer. So don't wonder or doubt. No doubting. What do you call that? Doubting Thomas. Just believe and have faith that when you go to your God, which whatever you call God, Buddha, nature, anything, when you go in prayer and you speak and you make it an intentional conversation or request or question, just trust that it's heard. And that to me is a really big second half of prayer that I don't want to leave out of this conversation. So, journaling, you can simply start by writing your thoughts down. You could begin a gratitude journal, or you could write about what you want in your life. It could be intentional writing. The the beauty of journaling and putting pen to paper, it's different than having a computer and typing things in. When you write down your thoughts, it helps you to get more clear on your inner world. And so it will help you, the more you do it, get through your difficult times or making those difficult decisions. Now, yoga is another contemplative practice. I believe that yoga will create unity with all three of the dimensions, your body, mind, and your spirit. It can help to relieve a lot of stress and imbalance in your life. It is one thing that I wish I did more of. And you could simply use a mat, don't use a mat, but just start focusing on your breath and start stretching. Moving around in slow, gentle stretching, to me, is yogic. You can watch a video. So you can follow along with somebody, but even just connecting your body, mind, and spirit through movement and breath, to me, that has incredible benefits. So now the second C to start practicing is compassion. Practice forgiveness. Now, I used to think that forgiveness was a one-stop shop. I make the decision to forgive someone for doing me wrong, and we're all good. I've made the decision, and that's it. Like, isn't that what I was supposed to do? And that's not enough, because what I have found is forgiveness isn't a one-time decision. It's a choice that we make over and over and over again. So if I decide to forgive someone and I think all is well, especially if they're still in my life, or if something happens and it triggers memories or emotions, then forget about forgiveness. I'm right back to anger. So what happens when I get triggered and that the negativity shows up, I have to make that choice to forgive again and again and again. So I've realized that forgiveness is a practice. It's a decision that we make over and over and over again. It's not a one-stop shop. It really isn't one and done, and you're going on with your life never to be affected by a harm that someone else has done you ever again. Now, sometimes it could be that easy, but it might depend how hurt were you? So was that something that, somebody else, somewhere else in the world, something happens and it reminds you of that, and it's just like a casual memory? You've really overcome and you are truly in forgiveness. But if you're feeling hurt or angry or negativity, then you're not staying in forgiveness. And unfortunately, you and I, when we don't practice forgiveness, we are the ones that suffer the most, more than anyone else. It doesn't matter what anyone else does or thinks or says. It's us that is suffering the most when we don't choose forgiveness. So letting go of blame, I get it. It's not easy. But the negative feelings are more harmful to you than to anyone else. So to help you practice forgiveness, I'm going to give you tips that work for me. Stop playing and replaying the story in your mind over and over again. Choose a different perspective. Try to see and understand their perspective. Look for the good. Shoot, I don't think I've been talking into the microphone this whole time. Hopefully, I'm sure that's going to be good now. I should do a quality check every time. Well, we know now it's going to be better audio, so I'm sorry. Maybe I'll re-record this video, but hopefully y'all heard me okay. So I want you to look for the good. When you need to practice forgiveness, try to shift your perspective and understand that things aren't black and white. People are really dynamic and they are complex. You might think that you know somebody, but truly, you don't know their whole story, how they've perceived the world. You don't know everything. And if you think you know, do you want to be right? Do you want to just be right about how awful somebody is? Or do you want to feel more peace and quality of life, having better health, and really not being attached to toxicity is more important than holding on to that anger or even that hurt. So when you can see what negativity is doing to you, it's a lot easier to let it go. So you don't have to accept behaviors, you don't have to allow people into your life. You have that choice. But you also have the choice to let go with love. So, the second part of compassion, and the most important piece of all spirituality to me, is being kind and gentle and forgiving with yourself. When we feel love and we feel warmth for ourselves, our bodies instantly go into healing. So rather than feeling anxious, we feel calm and secure. And the guided meditation that I will give away today will be on self love and compassion. I have a library of meditations and affirmations and guided visual exercises, and I'm going to give you one um, in the show notes. So you just have to click the link that I put into the show notes, and it will truly help you with self love and compassion. And when you start there, it's a lot easier to have love and compassion for other people in this world. When I find it really hard to pray for someone else or to practice forgiveness, that's when I know that I have to. And 100% of the time, no matter how hard it may be, just making the attempt on a regular basis always leads to peace. Always. It honestly blows my mind every single time. So the third C is clarity. Knowing what you value, what your beliefs are, what you want in your life, what matters the most to you. And what do you believe is right? So, not that a religious body of, the church or some place is telling you what's right or wrong. But when you go within, what do you think? What do you feel? Trust your gut. So, what are things that you're not willing to compromise? Get clarity on these things. This is all of your responsibility, your work, because the universe will then do its work. So you gain clarity, and that's your job. The universe will always do its part, and it always does. So, one other way to gain clarity is to ask the questions around what you believe about the universe. Do you believe we live in a kind, generous universe? Does it have your back? Or one thing I've learned a lot, especially as a mom to two little kids, and I ask this for myself: are things happening to me, or are they happening for me? Always. Now, is with the kids, that's a whole other thing, and it's really helped me see that more clearly because it's all in our perception. So gaining clarity and asking those questions, those are the kind of questions that will kind of guide you more once you get clarity on where you sort of stand in your spirituality. Now, to get clarity, you could practice the first C, contemplation. Some of those exercises would be very helpful in gaining clarity. You could walk in nature, you could do journal writing, you can get lost in music, appreciate art, or you could appreciate the beauty of your environment. Just close your eyes and turn off distractions. Simply doing that helps you to go within. And what will happen is over time, you begin to trust your gut more. So, spirituality includes things like your values, your beliefs, your purpose, and you can connect with those things both physically and mentally. So, writing, journaling, and trusting like what's coming out, walking in nature, doing yoga, you can connect to your spiritual well being and your values, beliefs, gaining clarity, all of that through physical and mental exercises as well. So when you do this work on a regular basis, then you're going to get messages. I want you to trust yourself and just start to speak your truth more. When you gain the clarity, trust in that. So even if it's uncomfortable, one of the most helpful slogans that I've heard just to put this into practice, like real life discomfort shows up. I have trusted my gut. I feel like this is one of these examples. I need to speak my truth. How do I do that? And maybe I have some feelings that are, behind what I need to speak up about, whatever that is. The best slogan I've ever heard is say what you mean, but don't say it mean. Simply speak your truth. And to me, that's been very helpful in really owning my well-being and my spiritual badassery. So if somebody actually isn't, let's say if somebody isn't in their spiritual well-being, they may be criticizing or judging more. They may be speaking ill of others. Usually, people who have some connection to their spirituality find it's not comforting to criticize others or to gossip. Those things just don't happen as much. And I think what happens when you're not spiritually, um, you're not mindful of your connection to your spirit, it's easier because you find validation and comfort in those things. So instead of that, then once you start practicing some of these things on a regular basis, you may find that discomfort is something to pay attention to. I've actually found that spiritual people mind their business and they stay on they're really focused on their own path, keeping their side of the street clean. They're not really concerned with other people, excuse me, kind of what other people's business is. It's not their concern. Because when you have a God or a higher power, your own source, you start to realize that other people also have that. Or at the very least, they have access to that, whether they're feeling connected and they're out of touch, whatever it is, they do have the option. So, and everyone, no matter whether they believe or not, everybody has a higher power. And you could call it whatever you want, but believing if you have it, knowing that everyone else has it also. And I believe that about my kids, about my husband. So it helps me to stay sort of in my lane and really um, not kind of micromanaging all of that stuff. And when I get into wanting to control things, other people's business more, I realize I'm actually not in my spiritual wholeness as much as I could be. And it's a simple contemplative exercise, gaining clarity, journaling, taking some time to connect. It's so simple. But when we do those things, we can more easily accept others just as they are. You don't need to change other people. And it's also helpful to just realize that they not only do they have their own source, we may all be connected, but they have their own source that they could access, or just knowing you don't know what's right or wrong for other people. And you don't know how they have perceived the world before now. You don't know what's led up to this. And so just honor their experience and let go of your judgment and your criticism for your own spiritual health, for your own well being. Another piece of clarity And one of the final thoughts I have on the third C, which is clarity, is learning how to hear your higher power. So I believe it's far less important to try to figure out who or what your source is. To me, that doesn't actually matter as much as trying to figure out how they're communicating with you. So if I believe maybe it's a loving light. I talk to Jesus, and I have kind of a few ways, and whatever quite honestly works today, that's what I tap into. There's no right or wrong. Being open, being willing, being honest that there is there is another way besides yours. Maybe you can't see, what is it, the forest through the trees, like, so that you know that you are at least making the attempt to gain clarity and connection, to have compassion, practice forgiveness. So when you make the attempt, then that is usually for me, when I make even the smallest attempt, like the faith the size of a mustard seed, then it will come. It's just needing that. I don't know why it is, but the universe needs us to make the attempt. So your source is communicating. Just listen more. Listen more deeply or more acutely. There will be synchronicities. Maybe you will get guidance from things other people are saying, songs on the radio, angels, dreams. You might have that inner knowing, or that still small voice could be speaking to you. You will get clarity when you're regularly checking in. All of those things may be there to guide you. So just listen more to hear how your source is communicating with you, and develop a personal relationship with your source, a one-on-one personal relationship. Now, I believe these things help you in your business tremendously. Talk about making better decisions, being more creative, knowing how to show up. So, all of these things and synchronicities and validations and things will happen, like those signs from the universe where you're more aligned and money comes in. Money is a part of the flow of the universe. So, all of these things can help you personally and professionally. Now, the third C of clarity, I put as third in line because it usually actually comes naturally after contemplation, dropping your ego, practicing forgiveness. Now, when you can be more understanding of someone else's sort of what they've walked in life and what makes them act or behave a certain way, whether you like it or not, it's not easy, but it's the most rewarding commitment that you can make for yourself. So, spiritual well being can help you overcome trauma and hardship. You'll make better choices. You're going to live longer. I know that you'll live healthier, at least. And during this pandemic, with all of these rising cases of depression and anxiety, the isolation, you will feel more connected when you develop a spiritual practice. So, spirituality is about seeking a meaningful connection with something bigger than yourself. So, as I said at the beginning, it's not just about having meaningful experiences, it's about meaningful connections with your divine. And that, to me, makes a difference. Now, there is meaning in everything. There's meaning in the good things that happen, the rainbows that you see, and the problems that you have. When you practice regularly, you begin to see the thread, and all of life is connected. You don't feel so alone. It helps you to have more acceptance and better emotional health. Now, this is about cultivating a positive perspective. So it's a long game, it's lifestyle, it's a longer commitment. It's like practicing forgiveness. That's a lifestyle choice to me. That isn't just a trend. It's not something to pick up and then just kind of forget about, because maybe you tried a certain boot camp exercise and it worked, but then you got kind of tired of it. You can always find more ways to exercise physically and spiritually. This is a commitment to your well-being. So I hope that you've enjoyed these 3 C's and that you will start using them today. You could actually do 15 minutes total. That's all you need. You could do 5 minutes in contemplation, 5 minutes practicing compassion for yourself or for others, and 5 minutes in gaining clarity. Now, I would love to know what you think of the guided meditation. I know that it will help you at any point in your life, but especially as we go through this pandemic and needing more spiritual well-being than we may have ever needed, ever. And I think we've always needed it. But if there's ever been a time where we need it more and most, it's now. So if this topic has resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and please share it. Just spread the love and keep practicing these spiritual principles and exercises, because next week we're going to talk about how to deal with difficult clients. So you're going to need all the spiritual help you can get. So if you'd like any more guidance on this, this is something that I practice myself, but I also work often with in my workshops with groups of people. So I don't just teach business practices and entrepreneurship. There is always the talk of spirituality, because when we have such a vast resource at our fingertips, why wouldn't we use that? And when we could live healthier and better lives and make better decisions, why wouldn't we? And it's such an easy way, and it is accessible to all of us. So if this helps, please just give it a thumbs up. If you can share it or subscribe, get notified, all the bells and whistles. And if you need more help with this, then please just send me a direct message. Let me know what's going on, because I will give you what I think is the best resource for what you're telling me. There's always, always more spiritual help there for you. And it is taking the one step, the simple one step, taking an action. And it might be sending me a direct message or getting that guided meditation. I hope you enjoy that. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back next Tuesday, and we're going to talk about how to deal with difficult